The Azanians People's Organization is asking poor black communities to donate so it can contest the upcoming general elections. A report by the Sunday World states that the cash-strapped Azapo doesn't have the election war chest its rivals have because it's funding from big business and other sources it doesn't have. For more on this conversation, we're now joined by party leader Nelvis Qekema. Thank you so much for your time and joining us on Newzroom Afrika this evening. Now, you're going to be contesting this year's elections with very little money in your pocket, it seems. Why?
Well, I think it's obvious, Masa, it's because of the fact that we are a liberation movement, and it's also because we are a political party that has been there in the struggle and long in the struggle, and then we're a party that has always said that we are in the struggle and then we are dying in the struggle, we are disappearing in the struggle, we get killed in the struggle because we are fighting for the land and our land and for the return of our land. And then that's not always very easy for the funders to be able to fund an organization that says we are demanding our land back because the land belongs to the people and our culture is anchored in the land. Our dignity is in the land. And then if you look at the way things stand in this country is that an upward of 98% of the economy of this country is owned by the white ruling class. And so white people have a monopoly of that. And so they decide who they are going to fund. And then if you've got to have views that appear to be radical, views that appear to tamper with the ownership of the wealth, with the ownership of the land, which they own in fact, then you are in trouble because you're not going to get that funding. So in a sense, when the Constitution says when people go and vote, they are expressing the will of the people. And in fact, in this country, it's not the case. It is the will of the donors, the will of the funders, and the funders are white.
Sure. So let's talk about timing as well. You know, Azapo has a very rich history, you know, contributing to our liberation of this country. But Azapo hasn't kind of been in the political fray in post-democratic society and elections. Why do you think it's so important now that your party enters and contests these general elections?
It's very important that Azapo's voice, soul, and everything is in the corridors of power, is in Parliament. The reason for that, like I said, it's because Azapo is a liberation movement. We are the people who bled, fought, and died for this freedom, for this democracy. So therefore, we are holding the memo of democracy. We are holding the memo of the development and then freedom and liberation of our people. So we know what it is that we fought for. So therefore, we are the people who know what this democracy ought to look like, what our development ought to look like. So that's the reason that Azapo has to be there. In fact, there is a need that a black consciousness, the black consciousness philosophy, that which Steve Biko developed together with his comrades, you know, is mainstreamed to an extent that it becomes part of the governing in this country. It becomes part of the academia in this country, business, sports, and faith and everything. So there is a need that there is a footprint of Azapo there. But like I said, it's very difficult in this part of democracy to be able to do that because money speaks. For you to be able to be there, you've got to have the money, and the people who've got the money, they choose who it is that will be there. And so it is that you find that the funders and the donors of this country decide who will be there, and as a result of that, you will see also, if you look at the funding patterns of the political parties, you will find that the white ruling class, in fact, is throwing a lot of money into the black political parties. So by so doing, they are splitting the black vote, when in fact they are keeping the white vote intact and together and bigger. And then this one they are fragmenting, that is the black vote. And that is why you find that with this funding, which goes that way, you find that a new entrance, new political parties that have bank accounts, that have offices throughout the country, fleet of cars and everything, even before they have members, even before they are formed.
I mean, this year we'll be seeing the largest number of political parties contesting, as well as independents for the general elections as well. When you talk about these new parties that are entering the fore as well, that are seemingly having the funding that parties like yourself cannot get, what do you think and make of that? What do you think the trade-off is then? Because these parties are also saying that they are also looking out for black people, which you're saying you're also doing the same, but the donors are saying we're not going to put our money with you, yet they're willing to do so with new parties that don't have the credibility and the history perhaps that yours does.
If you see some new political parties, black political parties, as they claim, you know, in fact, celebrating the genocide of the people of Palestine, it's because money speaks. You know, these parties have been sponsored and funded by the Zionist institutions. And but what are we saying as Azapo? Am I complaining? No, we're not complaining. We have never complained in this country. We went into the struggle having nothing, but having lost our land. You know, so therefore there is no complaint. We're not asking for any pity. We're not asking for any favors. You know, we will contest as Azapo. We will not ask for anybody to change anything. We'll get in there and contest. We went into the struggle, and then we were facing an enemy that had everything, you know, guns, tanks, and everything, bombs. We had nothing, our bare hands, but we went in there, and then we asked for no party. We will do the same thing, and we believe that we will go to our people and rekindle their memory, because they know this organization. It is their organization. It is the organization of Steve Biko. It is the organization of black people. It is the organization, you know, of our ancestors, our forebears. So therefore they know us. We are in their minds, we are in their souls, and then we will go and knock at those hearts. And just this weekend we've been all over the country as Azapo, and the people are saying, yes, it is you who we are looking for when this country is going to the dogs, when the money of the people is being stolen, when the leaders of this country are not in the offices where they are supposed to be governing, but they are in the long queues going to the Zondo Commission, and some of them are going to the jails, and some of them are hiding money in mattresses and in their furnitures, and this is what we're going. And Azapo is saying that's exactly what we want to change in this country. We want to change and free and liberate the politics of this country.
And to do that as well, funding plays a crucial role. To campaign is very expensive, as we mentioned earlier as well. And these new parties that have entered the fore have shown quite a bit of muscle when it comes to this aspect as well. I mean, to be able to crisscross the country and knock on those doors that you're talking about, to be able to get the merchandise, the T-shirts, getting the posters, you know, hiring venues and getting volunteers, etc., it's going to cost a lot of money. And while you're saying, you know, we want to remind people of the memory of Azapo as well, without the money, it's going to become very difficult for you, don't you think?
Yes, there's no doubt. It's going to be difficult. And the reason why it is difficult is because this is the struggle. And the struggle continues. Just the word struggle means exactly that it will be difficult. It's not going to be easy. And nobody ever said it was going to be easy. So when other political parties are going to the moon, we will be going to the villages. We will be going to the townships. We're going to be going to the Mikuku, the shacks, because that's where the people reside. And we may not appear on television, but as and when we don't appear on television, that would be because we are in the hearts and minds and souls of the people, because we are the people. What matter really? Like they said, the struggle will not be televised, and then we will be going to the people remember us and know us. We may not be having, in fact, what we'll be doing as Azapo, as we have said, and we've done this all the time, you know, and then going to the people and say, this is your organization, please help us with money, help us fund this liberation project, you cannot expect that the Oppenheimers and the Ruperts of this world will give you the money to get your land back, will give you the money to restore your humanity and dignity, will give you the money to get out of the shacks, because they believe for you to be black, it means nothing, and then you don't matter at all. Your lives and your dignity doesn't matter. But the organization that remembers you all the time, the organization that has leaders, that died for you, like Steve Biko, Unkupu Tsetiro, that is the organization that you need to be there, because it's carrying the memo of the struggle, the memo of the liberation struggle. We know what it is that needs to happen in Parliament. We know what it is that needs to happen at the Union Building. We know what it is that needs to happen in the legislatures for the people to be free and liberated.
And Mr. Qekema, as you speak of organizations that are planning on going to the moon, I take that as you will not be considering at all this moonshot pact with the other parties who are involved post the elections. Are you also considering coalitions who you'd be willing to team up with?
Well, for us, any coalitions that matter are coalition of the people, are coalitions that have political integrity, coalitions that meant to free and liberate the people, coalitions that meant to transform the economy and remove the economy and take it away from the hands of yesteryear within which it is locked, and then decentralize the wealth of this country. It cannot be that at this time, 30 years after democracy, that it is still black people who are, using pit toilets, who are using bucket toilets. It cannot be at this time, in our democracy, that it is black children that are dying in pit toilets, and then an upward of 33 million people who are poor in this country, about 13 million who are unemployed in this country. We're talking about black people, and then our children have got to fight and be killed and be shot at for them to demand to be educated, as if a 1976 uprising did not take place. And that's the reason why we've got to be an organization that stands up and say, we don't care what is it. We don't care the fact that they're not giving us the money, but what we do have, we have the will. For so long as we have the will, we will get there, and we will be there, and then it will happen, because it took us to ignite, and reignite the flames of the struggle when organizations like the ANC and the PAC in 1960 were banned. It took this organization to be able to reignite the struggle, and then it took this organization to go to the people. Remember, at that point in time, we did all the things in the belly of the beast during apartheid, that we went and then built clinics, Zanempilo clinics, in the Eastern Cape, in King William Slums. We went and then started literacy projects, and without any resources, but because we went to the people and say, can we do this together? We are not promising to liberate you, but we are a partner. We're going to do it together. It's about the time that the citizens of this country stand up, because this thing of the citizens hoping that come elections time, there will be food parcels, falling from the skies like manna. It's actually what denigrates our dignity as a people. It is not right that for black people to be clothed, they must wait until political parties go and then dish out T-shirts for them to eat, and they must wait after 5 years for food parcels to be thrown at their way. It really kills the dignity of people. It is okay for us to be given 350, 500, and those type of dishing out that takes place. It's okay. But Azapo says that can only be a short-term measure. It cannot be that people can live on a 350. We don't want handouts as a people. It's our dignity. It's our integrity. It's our humanity. So therefore, we want to be able to work. We want to be able not just to work, but we want to own businesses in this country. And so that we're able, to feed ourselves. We don't want to go and knock and looking for work. We want to teach out work to other people as well.
Just two things on that as well. In terms of those donors, the reporters you're expecting or asking from your supporters who are, in poor black communities. So the money must be coming in drips and drabs on that side. But where's black business? Have they in any way come forward to say, we like what you're hearing, or we'll be able to fund this party that is pro-black?
It's not very easy. Like I said to you, money speaks. If you look at the results in the elections in this country, you will always see the correlation between a money that gets thrown in and the results themselves. So what is happening when it comes to black business? To start with, that is a very small portion that you have in this country. I mean, they are struggling and fighting within the crumbs of about 2%, really. So there is nothing there. Yeah, I mean, if you compare, to the bigger cake, the biggest of the cake, that determines, what must happen in this country, that determines who must represent who in this country. Now, again, the challenge is this. If you go to a black business people, some of them would want to say, we like what you're saying, Azapo. We agree with what you are saying. However, we are not sure that we would want those that at the corridors of power would know that we are giving you something. We might just be punished and we might lose our tenders. And so what is happening is that even when they want to give you something, but they are also blackmailed by the fact that they may not get tenders. And in fact, Azapo does not have the tenders to be able to dish out to them. And there's no free lunch, as they say. And then if they give you money, they expect you to dish out tenders. If you don't have those tenders, there's nothing you can do. And so organizations like the ANC, which is the ruling party, they have the enjoyment of incumbency because they can dish out this type of things. But what we are saying, and we're not giving up, and we're saying to black business, look, Azapo is an organization that is going to make sure that you do not run spaza shops in this country, that you are not a people that are equal to spaza shops. This economy, this wealth, this land belongs to you as black people and as black business as well. And then you must claim it. And the best way to claim it is to be able to work in partnership with organizations like Azapo that understands exactly that the wealth of this country, income of this country, the mines of this country, in fact, the minerals of this country. And just today, there has been a mining in Daba somewhere, and then check what is happening. Today, 30 years into democracy, they are still discussing how are we going to go about doing the beneficiation of the minerals, because what has been happening all along, people have been digging our minerals and throwing them to the multinationals and then abroad, and then next to nothing. Yet when they come back to us as finished products, we find that we can't even afford them. We can't even afford to buy something like a necklace because it has been thrown out at next to nothing. So this is exactly what Azapo wants to correct. We don't need a mining indaba 30 years into democracy. Azapo knew it when we were dying in the trenches, what we need to do. We don't need a mining indaba. We just need to implement, the reclamation or the repossession of our land together with its minerals.
And speaking of that reclaiming of land as well, whenever a political party mentions that, it seems like there's a sort of like a white fright. Whenever a political party mentions that it's pro-black and deliberately pro-black, it also does seem that there is, again, white fright or some sort of sentiment around anti-whiteness. We know the history of Azapo, but to explain, contesting again, yes, it is pro-black, but what do you stand for?
Well, the first thing that we stand for is the restoration of the humanity and dignity of black people. What we stand for is the truth that this country belongs to black people. It is their country of their birth, their country of their forebears. It belongs to them. But when we say that, we are not saying that we will kick other people out, but at least there needs to be the recognition that the owners of this land cannot be living in this land like slaves. They cannot be living in the land of their forebears as if they were stepchildren of God. You know, that is completely unacceptable. We cannot be the people who live in shacks when other people live in mansions. So that needs to be corrected. Spatial development needs to be addressed. And so what we stand for is to ensure that we take the wealth of this country and then it be redistributed in a manner that will uplift the black child, in a manner that will uplift the black person in this country, such that we are able to eliminate poverty. And that is possible. I mean, look at countries like China. They have done it. Why can't we do it? It's possible. We can do it. All that we need is a government that has got the courage of their convictions. It's a government that understands that it is not going to beg anybody to ensure that the dignity and the humanity of black people is restored. That cannot be negotiated. That we cannot beg for anybody about. And therefore, it is that we will go out there as Azapo and ensure that everyone in this country lives like the citizens of this country. We are not passing by. We have no other country. This is the only country that we have. We have no two passports. The only passport that we have is this one, and that passport is our being, and the being that is connected to the land of this country. And that land must return to the people of this country. That's what we believe in.
How so? How will that be achieved? You know, there are parties like the economic freedom fighters who have put land at the center of their policies as well, and also something that we should be concerned about. And they've made it pretty clear, you know, expropriation of land without compensation. What does Azapo entail in terms of the land question? How do your policies look for it?
Well, if you hear other people talking about land, you must understand they are saying what we were talking about more than 50 years ago, long before they were born. Yeah. So it's nothing new for us. It's what we were saying. And so when there are other organizations that are echoing what Azapo has been saying more than 50 years ago, we are very happy, because as Azapo, we believe we don't have a monopoly on these ideas. These ideas belong to the people, and we would want the people to own up to these ideas together with their organizations. So that is well and good for Azapo. But then, what we are then saying, you must understand, so if you go back, you know, in 2018, it was only in 2018 that the ANC, the governing party, went out to the people and then asking them what do they want. Would they want them to bring back the land, to take back the land, to reclaim the land? Can you imagine? Can you imagine? Steve Biko dies because he wants the land back. You know, in 1960, Sharpeville people died because they want their land back. In 1976, the Soweto uprising people died because they want their land back. You know, Chris Hani dies because he wants his land back. Unko and so forth. They die. All of us died because we want the land back. We were in the struggle because we wanted our land back. We were not in the struggle only because we want to vote. We were in the struggle because we want that. So therefore, the land is the basis of the struggle. So that is what all about. So in 2018, you go and ask us, what do you want? What were you in parliament for? What were you in government for the past 25 years if you didn't know what we wanted as the people? So these are the kind of things that Azapo says, look, when you go out there and vote, know what you are voting for. And Azapo is saying, to the 15 million young people in particular, and women who are saying they will not vote, they are making a blunder. Because not to vote is in fact to vote. And you are voting for your oppression. You are voting for the perpetuation of your enslavement, for the perpetuation of you living in Mikuku, for the perpetuation of you being educationless, being jobless, being hopeless. So therefore, use your vote to free yourself. If your vote did not work when you threw it that way for the past 30 years, throw it in the other direction. There are organizations like Azapo.
Thank you so much for joining us this evening, and good luck to you with all those donations.